Next, we're going to move to our consent, our general consent calendar. I just want to make you aware that we're pulling under 4.2 under contract approval. We're pulling 096300-9 Waterford. New issues have come up that we need to address, so this will not be on the be before you on the consent calendar for today. So at this time, board members, is there anything on the consent calendar that you would like pulled? If you turn your light on, I'll address you, and then we can come back to it. Vice Chair Ellis.
I would like pulled the NASB contract.
Okay, which is in 4.2.
Oh, it got moved. Sorry, I don't. I'm trying to log into board doc.
Okay. I just need to track it.
Okay, yeah. What she said. 4.12.
Oh, 4.12. There it is. I'm not seeing any others that to be pulled. So I seek a motion to approve. Okay, we have a motion from Vice Chair. Is that what you did, Brittany? Yes. Okay. A motion from Vice Chair Brittany Cummings and a second from Board Member Cannon. Any further discussion? Seeing none, let's vote. All in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Okay, voting was unanimous. At this time, Vice Chair Ellis, do you want to speak to our 4.12, the NASB 2012 dues?
Yes. When we were at the NASB conference at the beginning of the year, some board members from Ohio, if I remember correctly, mentioned that they had decided as a board to pull out of paying dues to NASB. And with that, I think it's $24,000. I don't. With that $24,000, they were able to actually create an environment where more board members were able to actually attend the conference, because while NASB allows us to have some board members funded, we're still out money as a board going there. And so I think we need to evaluate, are we really getting $24,000 worth of benefit from being in this association? And so anyways, I just would like us to talk about this, consider it as a possibility, and what benefit is it really to us as a board to be a part of this membership. The team in Ohio, what they did with that money is they created a professional development fund where each board member was able to say, okay, with the funds that we're saving from not spending it here, each board member can use a certain amount of money to go to conferences of their choosing for professional development. And as a result, they had, I think they said 6 board members at the NASB conference that we were at. It's been a while, it was in January or February. And everybody at the conference was commenting to them about how bigger of a presence the state had. And they said, well, now we can afford it because we aren't paying the dues. It's only $100 difference whether or not you're a member or not to attend the conference. It was $500 versus $600. And so we're spending $24,000 and then an additional amount of money to go to the conference, except for the 1 or 2 board members that are provided within our dues, but I just think that we need to look at the cost benefit of this. So that's my comment.
Okay. Vice Chair Brittany Cummings.
I would like to speak to this as well. And in fact, to most of the conferences, there are everyone pays due. Everyone pays the tuition to go. The only conference that we receive 2 free tickets to are the New Member Institute, that's once a year. And so each conference that we go to, everyone pays. The just the slightly reduced amount. The one thing that we do miss out on if we do not pay the membership fee is we cannot participate on NASB committees, et cetera, which do exist. And so I guess my question is if right now we are currently not involved in the NASB committees, which is a possibility for us if we want to take it. And so if we're not going to take that extra step to be involved in some of the NASB committees and boards, then this particular $24,000-ish really isn't in our best interest. If we do, however, want to be involved, because it is basically a lobbying group, it does a lot of work at the federal level to lobby towards education issues at the federal level, then we need to get involved. And so I think it's a decision point of do we want to get involved or don't we? And if we don't, then we need to not pay the dues.
Board Member Hanson.
One other thing that we had talked about previously was having them come and do training. And they do fly out and do trainings. We have never, since I've been on the board, had them come do that. I don't know if the board has had them do that previously, but they do have good trainings that they can train us on, laws and all those kinds of things that have to do with education. So that's another thing that we could possibly have them do with our money if we want to get involved. But if we don't.
Okay. Hang on. Did you, Superintendent Dixon, did you want to add a comment?
No, just that apparently they have been here in years past and trained, and even as your superintendent, even though I'm not officially a member, they often will send information to the chiefs that is also really helpful in terms of roles of board and governance and just help with policy decisions. So there's a lot of various resources that they provide to us in general that are helpful.
Board Member Lear, then Board Member Cannon.
I remember when this came up before that Superintendent Dixon had some strong feelings about maintaining our relationship with NASB.
That was CCS.
What you just CCSSO, not NASB. Do you have any, aside from what you just said, do you have any strong feelings, or do you have any experience that would help inform our decision?
Board Member, Superintendent Dixon, and then we'll go to Cannon.
I don't know that I would say strong opinions, other than just to say that in my experience, even at a local school district, I found their resources to be helpful. And I just think anytime you can join an organization that's wrapped around what your role is, that it's helpful. Is it necessary? I don't know. I just always think it's very helpful.
Thank you.
Board Member Cannon.
So the voice of history is here to speak to you. Having served on the board in the past and having paid those NASB dues, then the board made sure that we had board members serving in every single possible committee. So every study group that NASB came, we had somebody on it. And we had, I was in, what's the legislative one, and I served in that for a number of years. And that's where I learned that the halls of Congress really are huge and long and exhausting to try to run through between the House and the Senate and all of the buildings. But I was welcomed into the office of our senators and our congressmen to talk about education issues, and I learned so much from having had that opportunity. I also had a chance to serve as the Western Area Director and started making networks with people from other states. I think what Ohio's doing might benefit Ohio, but friends and neighbors, NASB is the only organization we have nationally that serves state boards of education. And I feel like they deserve our support. We had them come for years, once a year, and do training with us. They came and streamlined us into a great strategic plan. And you know that we've struggled with that. And they have done it for years, and they're expert at doing that. So I would say, let's pay our dues, and then let's make sure that we are active in everything and bring as much as we possibly can from NASB to enrich our board here.
Board Member Belknap.
I need to ask Scott a question, or maybe it's Lorraine, I'm not sure. But the question is, if you don't pay the $24,000 like Vice Chair Ellis said, is that really put back into the pot for travel so we can do different? Or is it earmarked for something else? I just want clarity on that.
Maybe that question would be more for Deputy Superintendent Jones.
Okay, so Scott, the question is NASB dues, if we don't put it into dues, can it be used for different conferences that the board members would want to go to?
Deputy Superintendent of Operations Scott Jones, we can just put it back in the budget. So,
Can go back.
yeah, it can
Okay.
go back in.
Okay. I didn't, I'm sorry, was the answer, I'm on, what's doing it? It goes back in, goes back into our budget. Okay, Vice Chair, let me get Board Member Reeby and then Vice Chair Ellis.
I'm going to concur with Janet, Board Member Cannon. We are a very unique state, and we have very unique values. And somebody who's moved into the state, I recognize that we do have unique values here. I think as a state that has unique values, we'd probably want to be at the table on a national level to make our concerns known and to make our thoughts known. It is important to be a part of the national conversation. Just because we haven't taken advantage of some of the perks in the past doesn't mean we can't take advantage of some of them now. I would like to participate in some of those perks that we have not taken part of in the past.
Okay. Vice Chair Ellis.
Thank you. So I had the thought I had, and then I also wanted to follow up with Deputy Superintendent Scott Jones, or what I'm sorry with titles. I'm sure I butchered it. Sir. Yes, sir. Sir
we're good.
Jones.
Sir Jones.
So it can go back in the budget, but the board has the authority to say we want to use this amount of money towards X, right?
Yes, absolutely, yeah.
Okay. So, and then my other thought was, I agree that if we were participating, then we would be able to shape the conversation. But as it is, we haven't been. And when my experience back there was, and this won't align with everybody here, but the viewpoint was a much more liberal stance than I think most people in our state feel that they fall. And it is a lobbying organization that goes and lobbies Congress on our behalf. And it right now is really the only voice lobbying to Congress on behalf of school boards. And I agree. But we have got to either change that conversation to align with Utah beliefs and values or how we feel, or we need to say we don't want to be a part of that. And so for me, I don't see a lot of added value. And I know one of the things with the legislative conference is that you go and visit with your representatives at Congress. Well, there's nothing stopping us from doing that anytime we want. In fact, I think that we could create an environment where we are scheduling regular meetings with them. We don't need an organization to tell us that we're allowed to go and speak with our delegation.
Board Member Hanson.
I think it's always helpful if you want to make a difference, to be part of the conversation. You don't pull yourself out of the conversation, in my view. And so if we want to be part of what's happening, that yes, they are a big lobbying voice, but if we pull out, then there is no voice. And so I feel like we probably need to be more involved and get our voice out there.
Okay, we're discussing this. We do not have a motion to approve. If we are going to do something, it's been pulled from the consent, but now we're talking about it. So, Vice Chair Brittany Cummins.
I move that we approve the payment of dues to the NASB organization.
We have a motion and a second from Board Member Cannon. Any further discussion? I might just take the liberty. I don't dive into a lot of them, but I appreciate where Vice Chair Ellis is at. And with that, though, is a challenge. If we're paying the dues, let's go get our money's worth. If we don't like the message, let's get engaged and change it. And so, and I appreciate the service that Board Member Cannon had in the past, and other board members. They were active on this, but it takes a commitment, and I don't think our board is afraid, if we have the time and energy to go get involved, to go do that. So I see the conversation has actually put us a little bit more on point of it's getting an ROI on the dues. So I appreciate that. Any other discussion? Yes, Vice Chair Warner.
I appreciate your comments, and I wanted to see, Kathleen, you're serious about that? Because I'm really struggling with paying for this, and so I know this will come up again next year. So I'm hoping that somebody sitting here will be a part of NASB, because I see us spending a lot of money, and we haven't had anybody participating in at least 3 or 4 years. So I'll support the motion, but I'm hoping Barbara was for until when? Okay. Just-
And
okay.
Jefferson.
And Jefferson, because we never really heard much about it. So I will support the motion, but I want to see somebody up there. So hopefully that will be Kathleen.
Okay, Board Member Lear, and then to Bolter.
Just to clarify, Jenny and I attended the New Member Institute in August? June. And we found it very interesting, very helpful. We learned about the resources that NASB can provide, which I also sort of knew about from my years of working here. They have an excellent, the best working group of attorneys from around the country that is sort of a stepsister to NASB. And the participation, they don't allow participation in that group unless the states are members of NASB. And I don't know if Brian or other assistant AG, like Dave, know about that group, but I found it just incredibly helpful and useful as an attorney. And I also, just to point out the political sort of leanings, we heard from Betsy DeVos's first lieutenant at that conference. He was the keynote speaker, and he answered questions, and he was very receptive to the concerns of NASB members. So I think that the political leanings we felt were very broad.
Board Member Bolter.
I just wanted to say that I hope that we're not just deciding to join just because we think that we need to go through NASB in order to have a voice. We do have a voice, and I have been able to meet with some of our congressional leaders even outside of NASB and email back and forth with 2 of them pretty regularly. So I don't need NASB to be able to be part of conversations. And I hope that we understand that we are very powerful just as individuals, and we don't need to go through an organization. And I hope that we don't think that we need that in order to come to a table to talk.
Okay. Not seeing any other lights. We will vote on the motion to approve the NASB 2018 dues. All in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed? We have 3. Do you have them? Okay. Motion passes. That concludes everything on our general consent calendar.